yeah, that book, this is the book, The Secret of Sekhmet. It has Sekhmet, the lion goddess, on the cover. And the book is actually about her during the time of Akhenaten. So I had a lifetime during that time in Egypt, and I brought in this book a combination of the mystery school teachings of that time, where there was a secret society, and then there was the outer society in Egyptian culture. So there were two layers, and then the whole shift from multi-god system to one god, Aten, the light, and then shift back to multi-god system. Why it all happened, what it all meant, and the Sekhmet being, she is a person in a sixth dimension that came down here in a third dimension and initiated a lot of the components of that. So I talk about how it all is connected to human evolution, what it meant to the process of human evolution. There are many examples in human history like that, where something was brought in of a higher frequency. Humanity was not necessarily ready for it. Certain number of people were able to accept it and be moved by it, but then majority, the morphogenic field of the group consciousness, swallowed that and tried to take it out of existence. And I mean, we're still finding it in every culture, in French culture and Mayan culture, and like any culture you can think of on Earth that is old enough, that had some awakening. There are pieces like that. This is one of the examples from Egyptian culture. And if you read my book, you will see sort of what's the undercurrents as to why it happened, who did what. And it's, I think it's actually very healing to understand cycles of human history. So instead of thinking like, oh, there was a light and now light got killed. Light cannot get killed. Once something is imprinted, it is forever there. But understanding the cycles of how humanity kind of goes for the awakening. Some people make it from that top part of the wave, and then the rest of the wave goes down, and then another wave up. And again, some people from the top of the wave make it into next state of consciousness, and then the rest of humanity goes down. That's actually very healing, because we then let go of attachment to having to protect the light, from having to do something to like get humans to the next level. Everybody will eventually get there, but our job is to maintain specific frequency that is part of our contract in order to hold the range open for humanity to have that next state of consciousness. And the entire book is written very precisely. It's historically correct. So it's a mystery novel. It's adventure. So it's a page turner. You go through it fast because stuff is happening and you want to know what happens in the next chapter. So there is a lot of that. Like I've had people tell me like, I can't go to sleep. I have to finish this chapter because there's like so much going on. What are you doing to me? So yeah, there's definitely that. But it's all written from the correct standpoint in history. So as you're reading, I write kind of like a movie, like my language is very visual. So when you're walking through the temple, let's say, you can smell the smells, you can see what they are seeing at that time. You can look at the procession of like whatever steps they're taking as they're going along their lives. We go to Amarna, the Akhenaten city, and other things in there. So all these components are in the book. And I've actually had people, like I know a lot of people in Egypt because I've taken groups there for spiritual journeys, and archaeologists who tell me like, okay, how do you know this stuff? This is what we've been researching. We know like this person mummy is returned, like related to this mummy or this or that, but none of that is published information because we don't want to change history, or we don't want to publish this yet, and so on. So it's actually all historically correct. It's just, I know it not from DNA testing, but from remembering who's related to whom and how it happened. Right. So as you read that, you actually experience life back then as if you fully like emerge into it, and it starts to feel like, oh my God, this is what it felt like. And you have a little bit of a current perspective on it. And you can also shift from their perspective, because I write from both angles, which is actually really cool, because a lot of people who are interested in that book, they also had lifetimes in Egypt. So it becomes almost like a returning home, because you start to sense all these energies that I'm describing in your body, because the book is energy coded. Everything that I'm describing has multidimensional components to it. So as you're reading it, you're actually remembering some of your own lifetime components. And I've had many people who wrote me after reading my book that they either felt connected to Sekhmet, or they've been in this temple, or they always thought that this temple was there, or when they were in Egypt in this temple, they just knew there was this thing that I'm describing, which right now it's not, it's a ruin, and so on. So it's very interesting. And a lot of the temples and things in the book, you can also check, like literally find them online. If you're that kind of a person and like to do research, you can see all the components. So now there might be only 2 columns standing, but in my book there's a full temple, let's say, as they walk through it. So it's really cool to see the juxtaposition of current reality in the past. And as I said, it's an adventure novel, so it's really fun to read. There's only like a couple made up characters to introduce the story in order for you to actually get into it, but once you're in it, the whole thing is historically correct.